Okay. All right. Let's make sure the volume is not muted. Okay, that should be good. All right. So,
Should we introduce ourselves?
yeah, we can go ahead and do that.
I'm Mackenzie, if you can see me.
Miranda.
And I'm Eileen.
The first thing we'll talk about is our, is this the first
Objectives?
page?
This is the first page.
Okay.
So we should talk about our objectives first, or no?
Yeah, we'll start with that. We're going to talk about, we chose to do St. Vincent de Paul, and we have some objectives that we want to get out of doing our service there. And we talked about, I'll say one of them, it was to make an impact on the people there. And what we kind of mean by that is, like, we want to show that we care about the people in our community, about helping them out in small ways.
And so when they leave the place, that they realize that there really is people that care about them.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
Another one is just learning simply how to be a part of the community. And I guess this kind of goes with this one, is knowing that we can help right here in Des Moines. And we don't have to necessarily go to another country or a bigger city. There's plenty of ways we can help right here in Des Moines.
And then another one would be helping in small ways can really make a difference. So like, I know that one thing that St. Vincent's does is donating your old clothes, and that could really help somebody by getting outfits for cheaper prices than going to the mall. That would really help people.
Mm-hmm. It definitely would help. Like, I was reading St. Vincent's website, and it talked about how helping people in the community with not being affected by poverty as much. So if they don't have to spend an arm and a leg for clothes for their children, then they have more money for like food. So that's why we kind of want to go there and help out. The next thing that we're going to talk about would be the readings that we did for this week. And it talks about, it's the book Heroic Living. And the author's Chris Loney, I believe is how you say it. And he had a few main focuses that he started to talk about in the first chapter. And it was change, clashing cultures, and increasing scale and complexity. So if one of you guys want to talk about the first one.
Well, so change is kind of what we gathered from that is just that people need to adjust to the changing world. And in the process of that, it's hard not to lose yourself. So it's important to make sure you are aware of what's going on, and self-awareness is very important, which we'll talk about later.
Mm-hmm. Clashing cultures, what values are important, how well I treat people at work and personal life. So it's really important to keep your values and not change just because of the culture around us.
Mm-hmm. And then increasing scale was kind of like how he talked about with places getting so big, and like say a hospital is getting so big, like how can you feel important as an individual in such a large institution? So it's important to answer like the question, like, why do I really matter, and not feel, if you don't figure out why you matter, then you're going to feel so left out and unimportant. And the last one was complexity. And so it was really about like, how do we make choices with so many options in our life? Like he talked about with cereal brands and stuff, like how do you like pick what you want to do? So another example was like, he's talking about like different jobs you want to do. So it's really deciding like what you want to do with your life. So
a couple other key points that we noticed in the readings were wanting more. Like for instance, like the poor wants to have more money, the middle class wants to be rich, and the rich wants to be rich. So just kind of understanding where you stand and accepting where you are, I guess, is important.
Another thing that tied in was that he discussed in that chapter was that he has met some famous people, and you would think that those famous people would be happy because they had more money, but they weren't happy. And so money does not buy happiness.
And so he also talked about how we need to face the facts that the world is changing. And if we don't, and we just kind of stay stuck in our own ways, then we're going to feel really like lost and kind of left behind. We need to be able to like see more clearly what the changes are and accept them. And that's what we have for that.
And then, like I mentioned earlier that our topic was awareness that we were assigned to, and really just we need to understand ourselves in order to understand this changing world around us.
Okay, do you want to talk about the sex part?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So he talked about also when he went to Manila, Philippines, that he saw the garbage kingdom and saw that families were struggling for money, and parents were going out to garbage dumps and finding things that were of value to sell them. And that's how they were making their living, and they didn't have money to have somebody watch their children, so their children had to come. And it talked about how, like, what a burden it must be for parents to have their children come do work with them instead of, like, getting to be a child and doing things that children do instead of, like, having them help you work, since they had littler hands and had more energy to do all these things. And then when he came back, he talked about how he wanted to do something to help, but he was scared if he sent money that it wouldn't actually go to where it needed to go. So
we already kind of talked about our objectives.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all we really have for this week.
Yeah. We also kind of talked about too, like, how some people do want to help out in the community, but they're just scared if they do, like, send money and somebody's gonna be corrupt and, like, give money to something else, or, like, I give the example,
you don't want them to.
Yeah, and I give the example of, like, sometimes when I see a homeless person, like the other day I actually had somebody stop me when I was walking to work, and he asked me for money, and I was really scared if I reached in my wallet that he'd, like, take my cash from me. And so I told him that I would give him food instead. But my managers actually told me I couldn't do that because I'm hanging around, which was too bad. So, like, I guess, like, what I'm getting at is that sometimes, like, you don't want to help people because you're worried that they're not going to use your money for things that they actually need. Like, you don't want to, like, stereotype, like, oh, somebody is homeless, so all they're going to do is, like, spend their money on drugs. And so things like that. So we kind of wanted to talk about how we don't want that to, like, stop people from doing stuff in the community. But I believe that's everything we need to talk about for today. We will discuss more, like, what our objectives are in more detail when we do our proposal for next week. So that is it.